With us now to talk about the recently passed single-rate tax bill is Grover Norquist. He's president of Americans for Tax Reform, a taxpayer advocacy group he founded in 1985 at President Reagan's request. ATR works to limit the size and cost of government and opposes higher taxes at the federal, state, and local levels and supports tax reform that moves towards taxing consumed income one time and one rate. ATR organizes the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, which asks all candidates for federal and state office to commit themselves in writing to the American people to oppose all net tax increases. In the most recent Congress, for example, 175 House members and 44 senators have taken the pledge. When I was a state legislator, I took the pledge. And it's a pleasure to have Grover on the show with us this morning. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Oh, John, good to be with you. Look, Kansas Senate President Ty Masterson and the Speaker, Dan Hawkins, got a very strong vote. There may be the two-thirds to override the governor, who is not the moderate, as you pointed out, although she plays one on TV ads. She may sign this because the votes are there to override. If not, it's going to be very close. It is looking very good. You mentioned Kansas's legislation moves to a single rate tax. It cuts taxes for every person who pays the income tax in the state. Lower income people move into the zero tax bracket. The top tax bracket comes down. Kansas is currently at 5.7%. Okay, Kansas, and not yet flat. Colorado is 4.4.
Right.
Kansas, 5.7. You think Kansas would make more sense than Colorado. Nebraska's en route. They passed a lot of phase down to 3.99. Kansas is at 5.7. And Missouri is below 5%, and their legislature is looking to go to 4.5% on the road to zero. So Kansas would be joining 12 other states who have a single rate tax, plus there's 7 states that have a single rate tax of 0. So there are a lot of states that have moved to single rate taxes, tough to raise, easy to reduce, easy to understand. No one's getting away with murder. It is really exciting that Kansas is on the cusp of going to a single rate tax. And then you can discuss more easily whether it should come down further. There are 10 states where the leadership of the state is committed to go to zero.
Well, and, I know that the governor's budget director told legislators the flat tax plan that would put the budget, the state budget into deficits as soon as 2029. Of course, they didn't give any data to back that up. They just predict doom and gloom. And it seems to me like their whole thought process behind this is if we lower taxes, it's going to make it harder for them to keep spending. That's really what this comes down to.
Yes. When he tells you the budget would be out of in 5 years, that's an awful long way. Usually people predict the apocalypse earlier, which must mean the numbers are so bad for him. But should a Democrat continue as governor, they may intend to. It tells you how much money they're planning on spending is what it tells you. It's a serious tax reduction. That's good. It's $1.6 billion over 3 years. But we need to be bringing those taxes down so that Kansas can be competitive with other states and because people should keep the money they earned themselves.
The other knock that we're hearing out of the left, and it's the one that we hear anytime someone talks about a tax cut, is that it only benefits the rich. But we've seen that all taxpayers get a tax cut, and those at the lowest brackets actually get their tax rates completely eliminated. So when you look at it, the low-income families fare actually much better under the flat tax approved by the legislature because their bracket is completely eliminated. Now, granted, the people at the highest will get a cut because they actually pay more taxes, but people on the low ends get their taxes cut as well.
This just goes to show that the liberals in Kansas use the same playbook that the liberals in New York and California use. The top rate is 5.7%. The rich people, the billionaires that pay that 5.7%, is anyone earning more than $30,000
Yeah,
okay?
some billionaire.
That's what the governor's people are saying. Oh, these are for billion. They're lying. They're lying. They're lying. They think 30,000 people who make $30,000 should give the governor more money to spend, not less. And so they say, rich people, and someone making $45,000 a year thinks, well, that must be someone who makes 10 times what I make. No, that's you. They are targeting the average citizens of Kansas and have been for decades. So when they pull out this tax the rich thing, it just means they didn't even read what's in the bill. They don't even know the Kansas tax structure. There is a tax cut for anyone from the top rate. From the top rate, all rates go down, and some rates go to zero. But the top rate is for people who make more than $30,000 a year.
We're talking with Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. Grover, I want to ask you a little bit, and I know we've got a little limited amount of time with you, but I follow you on Twitter. By the way, folks should follow you on Twitter. You're at Grover Norquist. I saw some of the stuff that you've been tweeting out lately. One of the ones that you tweeted was a survey that said that 71% of voters say parents should, quote, have the right to use tax dollars designated for their child's education to send their child to the public or private school which best serves their needs. I was actually surprised that number was as high as it was, 71%. It's clear to me that parents want more choices. And, you know, what's so funny, and I've always loved the hypocrisy of this, the left, the Democrats, who are all about choice when it comes to killing babies, don't want you to have any choice when it comes to educating your children.
It has been a long conversation about school choice. The teachers union doesn't want you to have any choice about where your kid goes to school. If you live in this zip code, you go to their school, end of conversation.
Right.
If you can afford to go to a private school, then you can, but you have to pay the teachers union, your tax dollars in that school, and then you can, on top of that, pay for your own child's education. But this is particularly for middle-income people. That's tough to do. First, we got school choice, go to the public school of your choice. That's still embarrassing because nobody likes to think anybody wants to leave their school because every teachers union says their school is perfect. But that does give people more choices. Then we did a school choice for people with disabilities, where the schools can't even take care of them and deal with them. And then finally okay, that's fine. They can do that. Now you have 14 states that have said any student from any parent can go to the school of their choice, and some of the money, usually about half of the money that they pay in taxes, follows them. So in Florida, if you have a child, $8,000 would go to any school you wanted, public, private, parochial, another public school system, homeschooling. And as you pointed out, it's become increasingly popular as people understand what it means.
Right.
That you simply have the right to go to the school of your choice, and your tax dollars, all your tax dollars should follow your kid. But to begin with, half is better than zero. And we are now seeing a lot more parents able to send kids to schools that fit their kids' needs, that are near where they want to go to school, that have the talent and the teachers that the kids want. It's really wonderful. Again, 14 states have done it. Texas is about to do it. Tennessee is about to expand theirs. Georgia is looking to do the same thing. All across the country, we're seeing. Arizona was, I think, the first state to make it available for everyone. I was just in New Hampshire. They're making it available now for everybody. It's worked. It's popular. And if you like parents and kids, you're for it. If you get money from the teachers union, better not do it.
Yeah, well, as long as we have Laura Kelly, that's not going to be an option in Kansas. But we can fix that. We can elections have consequences. I know I got to let you run, but I have to ask you about a recent interview you did on Fox Business, where you were discussing Senator Mitt Romney's new tax hike commission that proposes higher taxes on Americans. I mean, and this is no surprise coming from Romney. I'm actually just so disappointed that I supported him when he ran for president, but I guess I'm a team player, so I had no choice. Can you explain this thing, and what is he thinking? Why would even any Republican at this point be out there publicly supporting a tax hike commission?
Okay. Some new ideas are stupid because you haven't thought them through and nobody knows what they are. This is an old, stupid idea. This has been around for a while. It is blown up in the faces of the people who did it again and again and again. This is, you set up a commission. They did this to Reagan when Bob Dole, unfortunately from Kansas,
I know.
said, no, we got to raise taxes to balance the budget. Okay. Well, and Bob Dole's a serious guy and he understood budgets. So they said, we're going to get $3 of spending restraint for every dollar of tax increase. Reagan hated it, but Dole ran the Senate. Democrats ran the House. He said, okay. And even with Bob Dole trying to protect the deal, none of the spending cuts
That's
happened.
The problem. They
none
never
of
get the cuts.
Cuts happened.
That's the problem.
The tax increase was real. They did this to Bush. $2 imaginary spending cuts for every dollar of tax increase. Tax increases happened. Spending cuts never happened. Spending went up, not down. Okay? So this commission is going to come up with tax increases. You can imagine what those are. And then spending cuts. And there are two kinds of spending cuts. The temporary ones that don't really mean anything and will actually not happen. And so you just have permanent tax increases. The problem is spending. The problem is spending. The problem is spending.
Yep.
We have been taxing at 18% of the economy for decades. The only thing that's changed is spending has gone up. So why would any politician say, part of the solution is to spend less? All of the solution is to spend less. But raising taxes doesn't solve the problem of spending too much money. It feeds that problem. It makes it continue. And quickly, our friends in Europe, they went from 30% tax in their economies to 45%. The entire economy goes to the tax system, 30, 45. So they jumped it by half, okay? Did the debt go down? No. During that period, the debt doubled, okay? Yeah. That is a collection of 30 different countries all making the same mistake that Romney wants to make in the United States, and we've seen it fail in the last decades here. Why in the world would we ever think about this? It is tragic. It would stab Trump in the back because as he's running for office, this commission will be recommending tax increases, and one or two of Romney will be on the commission. He can recommend a tax increase, and what will happen? The Republican tax increase is X.
Yep.
Why? Because Romney said so.
Yep. No, I pointed it out. I keep harping on this, that since I served in the legislature 6 years ago, spending in Kansas has gone up 49%, and we've not seen anything for that. But spending just keeps going up, and we haven't cut it. And until we do, we're not going to get to the root of this problem. Grover, thank you again for joining us this evening. If folks want to connect with you, again, they can find you on Twitter at Grover Norquist and online at atr.org, correct?
Absolutely. Look forward to it. And look, your legislature's going gangbusters, and the leadership in the House and Senate has really put together a serious effort here. Ty Masterson and Dan Hawkins, every state should have Republican leadership in the legislature like that.
Well, thank you again for joining us, my friend. I know you're going to be on my show on Sunday. I appreciate you joining us there as well. And it's a pleasure to have you here in Kansas City with us, brother.
Good to be with you.